Welcome back, episode 5. So, in this episode, we want to review what just happened the last few months. So, the trade deadline came. I made a big play, and I got tagged Bertuzzi. Absolutely lit it up for me. Had a crazy start. I think he had like 17 points in the first 10 games. Slowed down a little bit after that, but still finished about 30 points in 30 games, 17 goals in about a half season. So, was very, very productive in a short amount of time. But unfortunately, he got injured right before the playoffs and missed the playoffs. So that was a big sting. And then also right before the playoffs, Brandon Clark got injured. And Brandon Clark had one of the best seasons. I don't know the OHL history too well, but I'd imagine it's one of the best seasons of all time for a defenseman. He had 60 points, 60 games, nominated for Defenseman of the Year here at the awards. They're coming up soon. He had a point a game and 14 goals as the number one defenseman on a playoff team, plus 22 rating, averaged over 20 ice minutes a game. So he was awesome. He gained about 20 pounds too, which is really cool. He started at probably 6'2", 180 or something. So that was awesome. He didn't go up a ton in his ratings. His defense definitely needs to improve a little bit in the offseason for him to be a bona fide stud. Right now, he's more of an offensive stud who can kind of is more like a second or third pairing talent defensively, which isn't a big deal. He's like more of a power play quarterback and an offensive guy. But I think once he improves his defense, hopefully a little bit, he'll be a great all around player because he's got awesome stamina, which means he's just going to be so many minutes next year too, depending on how long he's in the OHL for. Probably going to have him at like 22, 24 minutes a game next season. Don't want to wear him out too hard, but I mean, 15 stamina is pretty good, so you might as well have him out in the ice quite a bit next year. At the same time, though, we probably won't need to overdo it that much because we have a sick defense core next season. So the first line will be Clark and Hill next season. Hill is going to be a 19-year-old, 6'4", 6'5", almost 200 pounds. He is like a pure defensive defenseman. I just noticed something really weird about him. His right defense rating is only 3. Usually it's always 8, so that's very strange. So he can't play the right side at all, which doesn't really matter too much, I guess. But awesome defensive rating, so he's a perfect complement to Brant Clark. So those two are going to play together all next season. He's already a 15 stay-at-home defenseman. He just progressed a little bit, so that's awesome. And then our second pair is going to be the 19-year-old Nate Allenson. This is the year we're going to be so set. We're going for it here because we're going to be all 19-year-olds, as you can see the ages on here. We have a ton of backup 19-year-old wingers, too, that I just signed from junior A and stuff. So that's going to be wicked. Nate Allenson's going to be an awesome second pairing defenseman. He's more of a defensive player, too. Just kind of a guy with not a ton of skill, but just another one of those guys that's progressed for a few years. 19-year-old, has decent passing and offensive reads. Just not much of a scorer, but he's definitely got a decent all-around game and a tick above average on defense. So just a nice guy to pair up with a really solid Jack York, who's going to be a nice OA next season. More of an offensive guy, was pretty, I guess, kind of balanced also, but nice. As you can see, a lot of green on this page, which in the OHL is pretty good. It's another guy that's just progressed quite a bit. He'll be 20 years old. He'll have 15 shooting range, 13, 14, and a bunch of defensive ratings. So he's going to be an impact player at the OHL level. In his overage season, he'll be about a 12 or 13 rating. So we're going to have a nice top 4 defensive pairings there. And then I think I might use my other OA on Prospel there. Didn't play a ton this season because we were pretty loaded on D. And he had a 2 to 3 month injury there in the second half of the season. We had like 5 defensemen injured in January and February. It was brutal. Proslev, just an all-around player who has nice puck handling. Pretty sick third-line defensive guy for the OHL. With that puck handling and shooting range and offensive read and a pretty solid defense. So having 5 or 6 defensemen with these high ratings should be really nice. And then the lone 2002 defenseman, so he's going to be very valuable that following year. Potentially a guy we could trade for some value. That will probably be a rebuilding year, so he'll be one of the few guys we can trade. Maybe even trade him at the deadline, get another stud defenseman if they're really going all in next season. Or just keep him and have him as that leader on that rebuilding team the following year and trade him at the deadline or something. There'll be a few options for him. He is, again, a really nice all-around player. Actually, can make an argument he's a little bit better than third pairing talent-wise, so might have to bump him over York. They're pretty much the same player, but Shreddle's got a tad more talent, just a little bit faster. And I don't know, they're pretty similar players, but it's going to be really nice having those top 6. So more I think about it, I guess we won't have to kill Clark too much, but Clark will definitely be the power play guy. And then maybe balance. We'll just in the regular season probably balance the lines, have them all at 20 minutes there next season instead of having those first 2 lines kind of stacked. And then also, I don't know if you guys saw, but we traded for Zach Terry. That was also trade we made. We got rid of Tyler Tucker, who we really want to get more assets for next season. Tucker was a 19-year-old this year, and the whole rest team was 18-year-olds. So Tucker wasn't going to be back as an overage player next season. So I decided to get some value out of him. So I traded him for Zach Terry to Guelph. Guelph was second or third place in the West, and they were kind of going for it. And they were pretty weak on D, so I traded him for Terry and second-round pick. And Terry has really nice stats, so he's going to be it's going to be Allenson, Hill, and either Possible or Terry there. They had so many injuries last year, I'm not too afraid to have 7 guys, and I'm sure everyone will get lots of playing time when injuries come around. So Terry will be kind of a little bit, probably that number 7 defenseman, but him and Shreddle, I guess the following year will be the studs there, and depending on if Clark's back or not. So that'll still leave some guys we should be able to trade and get some assets for to rebuild our team. Like I said, we can do that or just keep them depending on if Clark's back, because we'll have a pretty nasty core of talent that year. We just won't have any depth when Frasca and Forrester are still around. Piercy will still be around, Del Monte will still be around, and then those Clark and the 2 defensemen. So it'll be an interesting season. We won't have a goalie though, so we're gonna have to figure out a future goalie situation maybe in this draft. There's a couple, a lot of question marks in the future. We're not too worried about that though. We're just gonna really focus on next year and go all in next season and try to win a Memorial Cup. And if we do, I don't really care about the year or 2 after that. I'm expecting some rebuilding years, but you never know. With all that talent, we might be able to make it work and push another year or 2 onto that instead of having to do an all-out rebuild, because Del Monte is going to be so good. He's going to be an absolute stud. I really should get him in center. I think we'll have to bump Bignell to the 4th line and make Del Monte a 3rd line center and throw him on the power play on the wing or something, because he is a wicked facilitator. He's going to be an awesome point producer there for a couple of years. So next season is just going to be hard because I really want to make this the 2nd line here, the Frasca brothers and Forrester. It's going to be a wicked line. Anyways, so what happened there is we made it to the playoffs. We won the first round. We had some awesome goalie play by Jet Greaves. Silvos had a huge slump. Greaves really picked up the slack. I tried to keep rotating them to get Silvos out of the slump, but Greaves kind of played the important games and the game 6s and 7s and stuff. And then what happened is it flipped in that last series where Greaves started to get playing like crap, and then Silvos had a couple big starts there and got back to a 2-star. 2-fire star, whatever you call it, run there, and then we unfortunately lost Brandon Clark, our defensive power play quarterback, to injury, and that killed us because he was so important for that power play. We don't really have another stud offensive defenseman, so he went down, and we were missing Bertuzzi, and then we had a couple more injuries. We just kind of had injuries all over the board. I think we were missing Hill too, and then we were missing. I think we were also missing Prospel, so we were missing a lot. So we fell down to Peterborough in the playoffs, and that's where we are right now. Peterborough and London. I guess who else is left here? I'll have to figure that out in next episode. I don't want to make this one too long, but we'll talk about who won the championship. In the next episode, we'll probably do the draft. So in the draft here, as you can see at the ages here, this is going to be the all-out 19-year-old season. So we're going to lose Picard. I already released my OAs because I knew they were going to be gone. So as soon as the season ended, so we have next year the 2 stud goalies will be 19, and then as you can see, we got 4 19, 20-year-old defensemen, and then we got Duhart's going to be a 19-year-old along with Bertuzzi on the wing there, and then we got Frasca is going to be, I guess, 19 next season. His birthday hasn't happened yet. Suzuki will be 19, Forrester will be 18, Piercy will be 18, and then we'll have a bunch of depth players that are also 19, like this guy Fleming and Partridge and those guys. Like I just signed Partridge. He had a nice season there for Brantford in the OJ. He's going to be solid depth there. A couple guys that are just nice 19-year-olds that kind of have an all-around game that can fill in for injuries. And so next year we're going to be really nice. We're not going to really have too many underage guys playing, depending on all we have is a first-round pick, and then I don't think we picked like the 7th round. We really threw a bunch of assets out there from next 2 draft classes. We don't really have much other than our first-round pick, so it's not going to be a big deal because, like I said, pretty much the whole team's already set for next year. I just hopefully we can find a goalie in that first round and have something for the future, because we're going to need something, because we're going to have Jet Greaves back for an overage season at 20, and so we'll also go to the AHL. So we'll have 2 full years of Jet Greaves left, which is really nice. He'll be incredibly valuable that OA season. But then after that, we have no goalie. So if we draft one this year, he could potentially be a 3 or 4 year starter. So we're definitely going to be looking for that. But if there's no really good goalie available, we'll probably just end up drafting a defenseman because we're really set on D next year, but we don't really have any youth because Clark will probably not even play his 18, 19-year-old season. So we're going to have to draft someone to fill in there for a couple seasons because we don't really have anything to speak of for depth. So we're going to have to figure out a lot. Probably the ultimate plan will be go all in this year and give everything we got to win this year. Upgrade maybe upgrade the wings there a little bit on the third and fourth lines and really give away like every single asset we have going all in. And then the following year, just trade everything and rebuild. Probably trade Frasca for a couple second round picks when he's in his prime at 18 years old. We'll be able to trade Forrester for a boatload. Probably be able to trade Zarb there. And then we'll probably trade Shreddle and Terry there and just literally get rid of everyone of value and just have a couple terrible rebuilding years with a bunch of fillers there and get a couple top 5 picks hopefully because yeah, it's going to be really interesting. Anyways, that's it for this episode. I'll do the draft next episode and see if we can find a goalie.